Hi, everybody. This is Lowell, and we're talking about how to start a music school and dealing with the subjects that I believe, are most important for all music schools to teach. And in particular, this set is in priority, basically, of what I believe should be taught. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the importance of understanding counterpoint. And counterpoint is really predicated upon understanding interval relationships. And a lot of people don't realize this about counterpoint, and particularly Bach's work. And Bach was a master at counterpoint. It really gave us a historical body of work to study how, successful counterpoint. And sometimes he would break rules, and sometimes he would lean towards composing in one way or the other that would utilize rules or break rules. But the main thing is that he knew what the rules were, and those rules were handed down to him even before him, that had been developed many years later, many years earlier. You had Palestrina, and before the Baroque period, and before really music became highly contrapuntal, you had basically music that was not counterpoint. It was developed as the early church modes and the early church melismatic material that would weave around. You've probably heard, Gregorian chant and that type of thing. They take Ave Maria, Ave, right? And so it's melismatic around a melody, and then you had parallelism, where a fifth would be added, and then eventually a third. But then you get into the Renaissance period with people like Palestrina, who actually would start developing these counterpoint lines, point against point, moving in opposite directions, which gave basically individuality to the lines. And I don't mean to go into a whole dissertation about counterpoint. You can look at other videos that I've done that talk about the theory and so forth of counterpoint. But what I'm trying to say here in this video is that a music student should be highly aware of the rules of counterpoint and what we call species counterpoint, which would start with two-part, two voices moving against each other, and then adding a third, and then four-part harmony. And really the greatest thing to study with that are the Bach chorales. Just amazing writing with those, the four-part independence of the lines, and yet still creating harmony out of that. So Nadia Boulenger was a high proponent of teaching species counterpoint, and she insisted that her students understood Bach very deeply. And I just want to remind the people that are watching this video that Nadia Boulenger became one of the most important influences of the modern era in terms of the composers that studied with her. Leonard Bernstein studied with her, Aaron Copland, Igor Stravinsky, just a host of really well-known and well-respected composers into the 20th century. And so her method was to go back and study counterpoint in a way that would affect new composition. And you can see all the way through the 20th century, the composers who really stood out were composers that had gone back in history to really learn the foundations. And I think that's what I'm trying to say here in this video series. What are the fundamentals of teaching music, and of things that last and create great music into the future. And we create the future based upon our knowledge of the past. If you have a limited knowledge of history, then you're going to not be enriched well to move forward into the future successfully.